The Kremlin saying that Russia and U.S. officials will soon start talks over the buildup of Russian military forces around Ukraine. And this follows a 2-hour video conference call between President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin. This morning, a Kremlin spokesperson says the two leaders would need to quickly follow up again, but we don't have a timeline as of yet. During the high-stakes call yesterday, Vladimir Putin demanding guarantees that NATO would not expand further east. This is a move Russia sees as a threat. President Biden and his administration telling Putin if Ukraine is invaded, Russia's economy faces restrictions it's never seen.
He also told President Putin there's another option, de-escalation and diplomacy. The discussion between President Biden and President Putin was direct and straightforward. There was a lot of give and take. There was no finger wagging, but the president was crystal clear about where the United States stands on all of these issues.
Mike Vaquera is our bureau chief in Washington, D.C., joining us now from the White House to talk about this summit. Thank you so much, Mike, for being with us. Now, just kind of give us your key takeaways. President Biden says he's preparing for strong measures if Russia invades Ukraine. Russia saying it will not attack. So what exactly did this call accomplish?
Well, this is an extraordinary circumstance, Adrienne, and it has echoes of the Cold War, and we are on the verge now of an international crisis. The question is which side is going to blink first. The context here, of course, Vladimir Putin's Russian military building up their forces just east of Ukraine on Russian territory, said to be about 100,000 strong now, heading towards about 170,000. U.S. intelligence says that those forces are positioning with fuel lines and resupply depots and the like for a long haul and a possible invasion to extend into eastern Ukraine. Remember, this is a disputed area now that Russian sympathizers and Russian irregulars, in other words, not the Russian military, has occupied in what Russia, in typical fashion, has instituted sort of a frozen conflict there. This has been going on for years, but now the White House really putting it all on the line very publicly. You heard Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor, say he's not saber-rattling, and yet they are making very clear what the consequences would be for Vladimir Putin and Russia if he were to go forward with an invasion. And those include arming NATO allies on Russia's eastern flank, like the Baltic nations of Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. Romania was specifically mentioned as well. Arming Ukraine. We do send arms to Ukraine now. That would step up as well. And crippling economic sanctions. And what's interesting about this is Sullivan said, remember back in 2014, 7 years ago, when Russia invaded and still occupies Crimea, the peninsula in southern Ukraine. Well, Sullivan says that all the sanctions that were considered then, economic sanctions that were said to be crippling to Russia's economy, are now back on the table. So the White House, very high stakes now, threatening Russia if they were to move forward with this purported invasion or potential invasion of eastern Ukraine, Adrienne.
Well, Michael, Russia doesn't exactly have a reputation for taking warnings like this lightly. So what would be presumed to be the response after a conversation like this and after a very public reprimand?
Well, that's right. And Russia points out, and Vladimir Putin has pointed out, first of all, they don't want Ukraine joining NATO. Of course, NATO was formed and still exists to be a counterpoint, a military bulwark against any Russian aggression in Eastern Europe or in Western Europe, for that matter. And Russia says, look, these NATO nations on our border, like Romania and the Baltic nations, they have arms that are pointed at Russia. So why in the world can we not build up our forces in that portion of Russia that's in eastern Ukraine? President Biden, has a call scheduled today with his Ukrainian counterpart, President Zelensky. Last night, he was on the phone with congressional leaders. He talked to key European allies yesterday after his call with Putin. He talked with Macron. He talked with the outgoing German Chancellor Angela Merkel and others, really trying to get everyone in line behind this policy, trying to send a very clear message to Russia not to take that next fateful step forward. Adrienne.
Mike, thank you for your reporting. We'll check back in again a little later this morning. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.